Hey Woodlanders, what a stunning morning. The mud slightly drying up. Welcome aboard to another woodlog, and if you're a new subscriber, come on in, sit down and enjoy some woodland goodness. This week we'll be making some more hazel panels, one of which will be the rustic hazel panel. When I say rustic hazel panel, I mean the actual external frame. So rather than it being the softwood frame that we normally do, I do it out of hazel instead. I don't really advertise these because they don't last as long as the softwood frame ones. However, this gentleman insisted that that's what he wanted, so that's what we'll do. The customer is always right. I'll show you how I do that. We've got to make a 6 foot by 1 metre. There's a mixture of sizes, eh? Bit of metric and imperial for you. Two long lengths, that's top and bottom rail. Then I need two sides and a mid rail or a transom. Is it a transom? I know we'll call it a transom. On this one, I've decided to do the long lengths with the tenon on the end, and it with short lengths that have the mortise in. So I'm going to do these at 1 inch. So I got a Veritas 1 inch tenon cutter. To make sure my drill is the same vertical as this one at the back. That means that we won't end up with a wonky twisted panel. Nearly made a rookie mistake then. Got to put the mid rail in. Depending where you are in the world, there's a programme on the BBC called Countryfile. Farming, rural life, the general countryside, and I always quite like watching it. Last night's was really interesting because it was on about Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest is the legend of Robin Hood in the Midlands, so it's in the centre of the UK. Some of Sherwood Forest is an ancient forest, and they were telling us that there was some oaks in there that are maybe up to 1,000 years old. During that 1,000-year lifespan, they can host, I think they said, 2,500 different species of insects and wildlife and fungi over that 1,000-year period. Now, they said they had a problem, and that was there's some trees missing in this age span. So they've got some between 600 and 1,000 years old, and they've got some between 0 and 200 years old. But they've got the nothing between, I wouldn't say nothing, but they haven't got many, let's put it that way, between the 200 and the 600 years old. So as the old ones die off in future decades, there's going to be no old trees in, say, 200-300 years time. They were doing something called veteranizing trees, and they were making these 200-year-old trees have certain characteristics of the old trees. And so what they were doing, in order to gain the characteristics of the old trees, they do what they called veteranizing. They would cut a branch off, and then rather than cutting it through like you would do with like a bit of formative pruning or tree surgery, they would just let the branch rip down with this great big tear in it. And then on others they'd add tree surgeons in, and they would cut the top of the tree out and let it snap off. The idea to create sort of storm damage, so the whole canopy of the tree goes wallop, hits the ground and just stays there. They don't do anything else with it. And then the other one was slugging at the bottom of the tree with a sledgehammer to smash all the outside bark off to reveal the cambium layers, something that a big animal would have hit it and caused this. As you can imagine, I wasn't happy. The jury's still out for me on whether we should be veterinising trees. I sort of get it, and I see where they're going with it, and the reason that we have this shortage of this middle range of trees that could come up for being old trees, building ships and cathedrals and goodness knows what, they chop down this age period, needed the trees cut them down. There's just something not quite right with smashing what I saw to be reasonably good oak trees, because the programme's aimed at Joe Public rather than the farmer. They're trying to teach Joe Public what's going on. They didn't give quite enough information. From what I could tell from the footage on the video, it did look like they were doing this to trees that really weren't that good anyway. They were okay, but they weren't good prime oak trees. But I just wondered what you thought. Can you convince me that veterinising trees is a good thing? Here in the National Forest they've started to do it, and they're actually giving grant money away to do it, and we've got a lot of young trees. So do we need to veterinise trees in the National Forest? Personally, I feel quite strongly no. That's simply because we've got so much damage in the National Forest already. Squirrel damage, deer damage, storm damage, and lack of maintenance damage. So trees are just dying because no one's going in to thin the trees. There's just not enough woodland management going on. So I certainly don't get it all in this area where I am. Now, because Sherwood Forest is an ancient forest, it really is a different avenue, a different perspective to the National Forest. What's your general thoughts on that? Should we be destroying trees that otherwise wouldn't be destroyed just to maintain some sort of ecology for different species? Will this ecology survive anyway? I honestly don't know. As I say, the jury's out on this one. Non-stop phone calls this afternoon. If somebody wants some poles, I'll have to have a good count up, see what poles I've got left. And I think I've got just enough. Something to do with festoon lighting or something. No idea. Some chap called Johny Vegan. Johny Vegan. Vegas. Johny Vegas, that was it. I'm not sure if he's been on the telly before. Right, let's go and sort these poles. that's it for today. I'll see you bright and early in the morning. Ready for this pole delivery over to Melbourne. Johny Vegas. I'm just down by Melbourne Ore this morning, and there's this huge boat that seems to be creating an awful lot of TV interest. There's cameras and people and movement and a big wagon, and I don't know what that's about. Maybe you can tell me if you know anything about this. Mahala wooden boat. Part of Melbourne Hall, and then this is the pool. It's pretty spectacular. What a stunning pond on a day like today. So that is the Johny Vegas glamping site for the rest of the summer in Melbourne. We've got helicopters, buses, looks like an old fire truck, and they're all there for camping in over summer. It's actually pretty awesome. And the big boat that we've just seen is an extension of this, and that's going by the water's edge, and that's another glamping pod as well. Just seen the man himself, Johny Vegas, Johnny Vegan. He waved at me, that's funny. Good morning, good morning. What an interesting morning we've had so far. Dropping them poles off was really quite an adventure. Just wanted to say thanks to Joe as well for organising the order of the poles. Easter weekend it opens, and I just had a quick look on the internet, and apparently Johny Vegas is quite a famous sort of comedian-y, filmmaker sort of fella, and he's doing this whole thing on Channel 4. I've not seen that. I'm sorry, Johnny. I will look with interest at this season's episodes and look out for my little hazel poles and the festoon lighting. Anyway, back to reality. Karen and Ellie Ray are busy flying kites, but there's not much wind, so they keep having to run with it.
I told you.
Kite flying Johny Vegas Melbourne pool. What a stunner. I might even top 90% today. I've got a dentist tomorrow, but I've got more of this panels, more charcoal. We'll see you in the morning. Don't forget to clean your teeth. Oh look, it's raining again. I was due to pop up here this morning, only I got some stuff to do in the workshop which I didn't bring you along for, but I will show you what I did. It was a gate that's been ordered by Stuart, who watches videos.
I did a little bit of work to that. I can't even get the word out today. What's going on? I didn't do a lot with that, just cut them to length. I had to go to the dentist, have the teeth cleaned. Any good? Not got the nicest sort of Hollywood teeth, have I really? At least I've still got some, so I can be grateful for that. I mean, if you've got no teeth, that's pretty miserable. Let me know in the comments, have you still got your teeth?
And what's it like not having your own teeth? I mean, I can't imagine that. The other job is I want to try and get this panel finished. I've got this one, and I've got its twin just sat over there, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll get that one woven. Poor Leanne's froze, and it's about 4:30, and to be perfectly honest, I've had enough of today. I mentioned earlier I'll be back here tomorrow to finish this panel off, but I realised I won't be, because my dad's got a carport he wants building for his scooter. Gone are the days when my dad drives a car. Now he's onto his little scooter and it gets wet, which is not very nice. He's got a waterproof cover for it, but just nice. He's just got this little tiny carport where he can park his scooter out of the elements, knowing that, you know, you can just do what you do undercover. So that's tomorrow's job. So I'm hoping to try and get that all done and finished tomorrow, which would be nice. I'll see you in the morning with the scooter port parts all ready to go. Don't do that. We're used to seeing lots of visitors.